Hello, welcome to Relate This To. I am Dr. Felicia Ferrara. What's an A-plus relationship? Well, it's one that kind of meets all your needs and is very fulfilling and yet you're very grateful to be in. To blend on spiritual aspects of life. Spiritual aspects include values, essential family traditions, children, pets. How do you feel about all those things? So those are spiritual beliefs. Second is intellectual. You must relate to each other on an intellectual level, because how can you converse about issues and problems you're going to have if one of you is thinking like an Einstein and one of you is thinking a little slower, and they're not going to be able to catch up, and it becomes a distorted power value. So you want somebody who's on equal status with your intellectual abilities. The third is physical dynamics. Yes, this is the sense of touch, hugs, sex, all of that above. So we need all. We need the spiritual, the intellectual, and the physical compatibility between couples if things are going to be successful. So it doesn't matter what your preference is, what your dynamics are, but these three essentials are very important qualities that you need to bring into a relationship. So let's break each one down and take a look at what it really entails. So for instance, spiritual beliefs are our values. For instance, have you discussed this? And a lot of couples don't discuss this before they hook up or decide to move in together. And it's unfortunate because these are very real things that you can discuss early on. But for instance, are your spiritual beliefs and values compatible? Do they value or hold in esteem your family just as much as their own family? Do they appreciate your ability to have a relationship with your loved ones, or do they denigrate your relationship with your loved ones and could care less whether you do or don't talk to your children, your siblings, or your parents? All of those things are not very nice, number one, but number two, all of those things are going to leave you less fulfilled because let's face it, our significant family of origin is always important to us, no matter what happens. They have a significant hold on us emotionally. And so the best way to handle that is to allow those things to happen and flourish naturally. How about pets? Have you discussed whether or not you like pets? That's also goes along with spirituality. Can you treat a pet decently, or do you not care about? So the values that you hold has a lot to do with your traditions. Do you need to live in a very big palace type house, or are you satisfied with a simple basic house? Those are spiritual beliefs as well. Do you attend church, or you don't believe in religion? Do you like structured religion, or are you willing to forego religion for this other person? These are all things that need to be discussed up front because they're going to impact your life in many different ways. And so these spiritual beliefs can make or break your marriage, because if a person doesn't have them, I mean, why would they hold on to traditional beliefs and family values? They can hurt all the rest of your relationships, and that's never fulfilling. Or they can enhance your other relationships. And of course, that's what we want. If you love someone, you really want them to be happy all the way around, and you're not threatened by sharing them because you're confident in your own love. But that is not always the case. So it's easier said than done, where some people really need to control everything and cut out all the rest of your relationships. And that's not going to be a great thing down the road at all. But if you don't know this until you get into the relationship and you're actually living with the person, you may not want to give up the coziness of living with the person, yet you're going to be sacrificing your other loved ones in your life. And that's just makes it very, very hard and more strained than it needs to be. So let's move on. Those are spiritual values, how they feel about all the love that they want to spread, or if they don't want to spread it, or if they're going to take it back. So those are all things that are very, very important. Second is intellectual awareness. How well can you communicate with this person? Because if you're intellectually at a different level than the other person, you're either going to be talking down to them, or you're going to be try to talk up to them, or they're going to be talking down to you. So these are things that you need to pay attention to at all times in the dating and the courtship period. Intellectual awareness is important. Do they get your jokes? Can they hold a conversation with you? Can they reciprocate in a dialogue that you're having with this person? So it's very much rewarding if you join each other on that intellectual level as well. No one wants to be patronized. So if you think you're going to control them and have somebody with less thoughts than you and no competition, that's not going to last for long, because eventually they get smarter and eventually they'll want to break out. So you didn't really solve anything by not allowing them to prosper from the beginning. So intellectual awareness is a matter of how you handle problems, how you handle grief. Now, we're not all going to be the same. Obviously, even if we're all on the same intellectual level, we have different ways of handling things. But these are things to be aware of. So for instance, God forbid you have a loss in the family. If somebody you love passes away, one person may need to talk about it all the time and grieve that way, whereas another person may grieve by holding it in and being quiet and processing it internally. So we have very different modalities of grieving within a couple, and that can put a great strain on a relationship. But if you understand these concepts before you get into it, before you are in that dynamic, then you can see better. Once you're in the dynamic, you're just hurt by things that are said or done, and you don't understand why they're being said or done. And so you can't meet the person halfway. And so these are very important issues to realize before you cement a relationship for a lifelong partnership or marriage, or however you choose to go about it. So that's the intellectual awareness. The third area that's really important, of course, is the physical dynamics. Is this person reciprocal to your advances, your touches? Do you have a compatible sex life, a mutually compatible sex life? Now, some of these things have to be worked out. Nobody's going to have the perfect rhythm as soon as they start, but you begin to. And again, it changes. You go to different plateaus as a relationship matures. So in the beginning, you might be hot to trot and everybody's super eager. But then as reality sets in and career takes over or work takes over and life obligations take over, you may not have that same rush, one of you may still want more sex or physical touching, whereas another one may not want any. So we need to be careful about that. So if you understand that differences going in, obviously you can work on it better while you're deep into the relationship. But for instance, you know that as soon as you're courting, whether or not that person's reciprocal to your touch. Do they reciprocate it with a touch of their own, or do they coil away? And well, it's not going to get any better if it's not good in the beginning. So right off the bat, and if you listen to my other video on 7 issues to know he or she is a keeper, I have those videos available below. But by all means, to start on any relationship, these 3 essentials are very, very important. The spiritual beliefs and values, intellectual awareness, and physical dynamics. How does each one operate physically? Okay. Now, all marriages, all relationships have ups and downs and peaks and valleys. There's going to be periods where you both kind of get preoccupied and the relationship kind of takes a back seat and kind of wears down, but then you need to go back and reignite. And so those are things that you can do if you have these basic spiritual beliefs that are similar, intellectual awareness is similar, and physical dynamic. We can go much deeper into all of these in another video, but by all means, please leave comments below. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think is essential in a relationship? What is most important to you? All of these have elements and consequences for whether or not our relationship can withstand time and can we make it for a lifelong commitment. They should be addressed before you make your full commitment. So if you have any questions at all, by all means, contact us below. I have the links there. I can also send you a workbook we have for this on the essentials of a relationship, so that you know as you're going into it what it is that you're looking for. And let's face it, it's not easy, because all of us have a preconception of what we want in an ideal partner, but what we see in the beginning is not necessarily what we get. So there might be some questions that can help you probe a little bit to see if you're on key or not. In the meantime, this is Dr. Felicia Ferrara saying thank you for viewing our video. And by all means, visit our website, relatethisto.com, and you will see other events. Please join our Facebook group. We have links below for our Facebook group as well. We do have pages for romantic gifts that we do help encourage along the way. So, any questions? Feel free to leave us a note below or email me directly. All right. Thank you, and